The reality is founding a company is going to be the most rewarding, most fulfilling thing that you ever do, but it's also going to be the hardest thing you ever do, the most challenging thing you ever do, and the most emotionally taxing thing you ever do. And having a network of like-minded people that are going through the same experience and can support you and challenge you and help you along this arduous but rewarding journey, I think is the biggest reason to join.
Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show. Guillaume Moubeche, CEO and co-founder of Lemlist. Welcome, Guillaume.
Thanks a lot for having me, Alex. Happy to be here.
Great to have you on the podcast. Are you in Paris today?
Currently in Paris, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a Parisian wall. You know, there. Yeah, I know. I know my bricks. There's this famous Parisian bricks. Good stuff. Well, great to see you. I think it's been a while since I saw you, probably in person, but also I think like last year we did a couple of like online stuff. It's online for now until we can come back and do some live events in Europe. Hopefully Dublin next year, 2022. I'm sure we'll see you there when you're at 100 million ARR. Right.
I hope so.
But yeah, look, I really wanted to have you on the podcast actually the first time, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And talk to you about your kind of really great growth that you've had over the last sort of couple of years. Doing some fantastic marketing. Which I'm sure has a correlation to your great growth as well, and sort of dive into how Lemlist has really achieved. I think almost 10 million ARR. It would be 10 million in a couple of weeks. In just a couple of years. So you happy to dive into that?
Let's dive into it.
Let's do it. But actually, before we do, I mean, look, for those people that don't know you, that are not on LinkedIn or on Facebook, or and are not seeing G kind of everywhere, certainly in Europe. Who is Guillaume Moubeche?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO and co-founder of Lemlist, a sales automation platform that helps B2B companies to get in touch with their future customers. I also co-founded a SaaS called Lempod in parallel of Lemlist that we grew to $600,000 in ARR and sold it to a group of Australian entrepreneurs so we could focus on growing Lemlist to 10 million in a few weeks. Initially, actually, I'm a chemical engineer, which has nothing to do with what I'm doing now. And I love to learn new things and do sports, meet cool people, and have fun in life.
Very good, very good. So tell us, how did you come about starting Lemlist? So you mentioned that you started Lempod, you started Lemlist. Which came first? Where does the Lem come from? What's the Lem connection? Tell us a little bit about that.
So prior to launching Lemlist, which was the first SaaS I started working on, I had a lead generation agency where I was helping B2B companies to acquire their customers. So I was doing a lot of outbound prospecting in Europe and in the US. And after using all the tools on the market, I felt like they were kind of lacking of personalization. And when you look, at how exactly do you make a sales happen, you need to build relationships. And to build relationships, you need to personalize your outreach, make sure to do your research on the person that you're going to reach out to. And by doing this, you're going to be able to build like this strong relationship to help you close the deal. And when I was looking at all the tools, they were saying, okay, you can put your sales on autopilot. The truth is, it's not true. So you still have to do the work. So we said, okay, let's create a tool. And when it comes to the name, it's actually my dad who found it. I wanted to find a name which has like a 2-syllable, where the word didn't exist online and where the .com domain was available. So I know we were doing emails. At the beginning, we wanted people to be able to kind of like share their list, etc. So I was like, okay, mail list, etc. And then my dad said Lemlist. And then for him, Lem means lunar excursion module. So he told me, with Lemlist, you're gonna bring your customers to the moon. And then my dad is really creative. so I was like, okay, this is really, really cool. So first project was Lemlist. Second project was Lempod that we started a year after Lemlist. And the company, we've been calling it Lempire because that's kind of what we want to build in the years to come. And Lempod got acquired, and we now have another tool called Lemverse, which is kind of a virtual office where you can just walk around as if you're in a video game and start chatting with people online.
Very cool. What made you create Lemverse? What was the reasoning around that?
To be honest, it was so my CTO had the idea because of COVID. We were all in remote, and it was kind of tough to see that people at the office in Paris, but all the other person were remote, and we couldn't see each other and meet each other in real life. So he said, okay, my CTO has been working in video games for tens of years, and he loves that. So he was like, okay, I'm going to build something a new world that you can create from scratch. And he decided to build it over a weekend.
Very cool. Very cool. I must check it out. And what I think I sort of mentioned, or may have mentioned that in a couple of weeks that you're, again, depending on when we publish this, but towards the end of September 2021, Lemlist will be crossing 10 million ARR, which is a fantastic achievement. So, congrats on that. Obviously, please let us know when that happens, and I'll congratulate you sort of properly. But what other sort of data can you share about the company? Obviously, we know that ARR, but anything else that you can kind of share? Have you taken funding? Anything around growth rates? How headcount?
Yeah.
Anything that might be relevant?
Yeah, of course. So we started Lemlist in 2018. We started to have paying customers in May 2018. So it's been 3 years and a few months. Now we have a bit more than 10,000 customers worldwide, mainly based in the US. We are growing at an average of 2-digit month-over-month growth rate. It's been a bit slower in the summer, but as every summer for us, so we see a bit of seasonality during July and August. And we are in about 85 countries, but the vast majority of the customers is US based.
Cool, very good, very good. And just on that, so one thing before we kind of get into really kind of five decisions, 5 critical things that you did and implemented that have helped you grow, this quickly to 10 million ARR. There's a little, it's a story, but this actually happened. But I think you're a little bit famous or infamous for being banned from LinkedIn. What do you do to get banned from LinkedIn? I might have a clue. So why was that? And you're back on now, and then you're not. It's not an alias. You're back on as G, I believe. So how did you get back in?
So it's essentially what happened is Lempod, our second software, came from a pain we had internally. So whenever you're writing a LinkedIn post, you're gonna copy paste the URL, send it to your team, and say, guys, can you start clicking, engaging, so the post gets a bit more traction. And because I thought this repetitive task didn't make any sense, I asked my CTO, okay, I'm sure we can automate this, maybe build a Chrome extension or something. So that's what we did. We built a Chrome extension allowing to automate that. But very quickly, it kind of went out of control, where everyone, joining this, and instead of companies using it, it was between professionals. So for example, let's say you're a marketeer and you want to join a group of other marketeers worldwide. You're just going to put yourself in a group, and automatically everyone's going to like and engage on each other content. I like it because it's the power of a community, of a group, but it went out of control in the sense that people were paying and paying and paying in order to get more likes, more reach, etc. And eventually, LinkedIn asked us to shut down the platform. But at that time, we were actually selling it, because for us, we wanted a group of person that would put enough resource to really monitor the type of content, put people in better groups, etc., etc. So they reached out to me, and I was telling them like, okay, like the product is getting sold. I'm not the one in charge of it, etc., etc. So they said, fine. Then you need to give us the name of the buyers. But the truth is like, you can't do that. It's legally not possible to give the name of the buyer if you signed a clause in your contract telling you that, you know, there is you can't say and disclose this type of information. So because we went through like a broker, you know, like Thomas from FE International,
Yep.
I asked him to write a letter saying that the buyer is not me and I'm not involved in it anymore, etc. But he did the letter, but LinkedIn didn't care. They banned my profile saying like, yeah, we had kind of like fucked their entire algorithm, etc., etc. So they didn't want me to come back. So in January this year, there were like a big PR with a free Guillaume Moubeche. So there were hundreds of people posting. The hashtag actually on LinkedIn was shadow banned. So if you type free Guillaume Moubeche in one of your posts, your post will get like 0 reach. It's so I think I kind of like pissed them off a lot. And down the road, I just said, okay, I'm going to create a profile. And some people who are like quite at high level at LinkedIn said that I could not come back under my real name, Guillaume Moubeche. So now, because everyone is calling me G from 3 years, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be called G, and that's fine. And so I came back, and here I am, like a phoenix.
Very good. So love that. And so now, like, back to you know what we want to chat about, you know, and how you've helped grow Lemlist to 10 million ARR in, you know, roughly sort of like 3.5 years. And we want to kind of dive into, you know, 5 key things that you've done. So what was the first thing that you did, and what was the impact, you know, of that?
Yeah, so I think like when we started Lemlist, so we have done it without any fundings, and we started the company with $1,000, which means that Vianney, Francois, and me, my 2 co-founders, we put $333. And because we didn't have any money, I was like, okay, what is the most creative thing that we can do to really like drive growth? So I focused on community. So from day one, I built a community around sales automation and sales prospecting called Lemlist Family. And because, you know, I had done so many prospecting for many different clients, etc., at first I was really focusing on how exactly can I provide value to people so they become better at prospecting, and hence, you know, like start getting more replies to their cold emails or their self prospecting, and get more clients. Because obviously, if your product or service or the tips you give to people allow them to get customers, they're going to stick with you, you know, or they will recommend you. So that was like my only focus, create that community. So for the first 6 months, even though I couldn't see any results, I was solely focusing on trying to bring value to people, help them in the community, give them, you know, tips, actionable things, doing only the things that don't scale, like literally.
And what was that impact?
So I would say that for the first 6 months, it was mainly me posting. And later down the road, I started seeing people, you know, like answering questions between each other, helping them out, etc. And we started seeing more and more people inviting their friends to the community. So the biggest impact was word of mouth. So people talking about Lemlist, talking about the things we were doing. And on our end, it was really good because we had this kind of family vibe in what we created, where when we were like doing something wrong in the product, people will really like yell at us. We even had people saying that we were fucking morons for changing the UX at some point. And but you know, it was very, very intense. But I kind of like it because, you know, it's like if people are hating about your product or really loving your product, it means that you are doing something good. So we went to talk to the haters. We started to understand why, and we really focused on their pain and needs to really like apply it in the product. So I would say that the key components of this was being able to improve the product, reduce the support load, because when you have a community, people will ask their question to the community because they can get additional advice, etc., and also drive growth through word of mouth.
What was the second thing that you've got on your list in terms of the key decisions to get to 10 million ARR?
I would say that was to, you know, like follow kind of like our value in a sense where we've always been super, super transparent. And to be transparent in sales prospecting, you need to kind of showcase what's working. If you look at sales prospecting back in 2018, if you would have asked someone from a company to give you their sales prospecting template or cold email template, they would have said, hell no, it's my secret sauce. I don't want to share it. And even within the same company, you see sales rep hiding their templates because it's kind of like their hedge or whatever. So I was like, okay, fine. I've done it so many times for so many clients that I'm going to keep running campaigns. And every single week, so I was running campaigns, testing so many different things. And on the campaigns that were working fine, I would detail exactly why it would work, showcase the template, and put it live to everyone. So everyone was like, I mean, yeah, he's using this tool, is really like showcasing something real, and we can see the results, and I understand why it's working. So step by step, after doing that for like, I think 18 weeks in a row, I started to create kind of this movement of people being more willing to share their own templates. And I started to create the Lemlister of the week, which is every single week we take one of our users and we showcase his campaigns with the results, the amount of replies he's getting, the exact template he used, the target he had, etc., just to show how to become like more successful. And with that, doing that, like consistently every week, we have created the biggest hub with cold email template that you can go check out, etc. And people actually apply now to share their own templates. So we kind of entirely switched the market of having people, to kind of keep everything from themselves. We went to, if you're part of the Lemlist family, everyone wants to help each other. We all gonna become successful, and here is why. And then we share the tips and tactics, etc. And doing this was really because we were focusing on this one thing, which is how can our users become more successful.
What is it? Do you use a tool for all the Lemlist community to kind of share their resources and communicate with them? What are you using?
So far, we've been doing this on Facebook, okay. Because the truth is, like, I always ask myself, and this is still like a recurring question, because now we have like I think more than 16,000 people on the community, so it's getting like quite big, and I'm like, okay, is Facebook the best media, the best tool, the best way of communication? We still see a lot of engagement. So every time we post, we have we cover around like 10,000 of people, etc. So it's really huge, but it's always a question, because I see more and more, like SaaS that are creating this type of community on like Circus, for example, is doing also a great job. So yeah.
What about the third thing that you've done that was a key decision to getting to 10 million ARR?
I feel like we are super focused on SMB, startups, scale-ups. And the truth is we've documented everything from day one. So how did exactly we get our first 10 customers? How we grew to 250K in ARR? How exactly we reached 1 million, etc., etc. And by doing so, we kind of started creating this movement of, even when we were super small, we were documenting everything, but people felt like, yeah, I'm part of the adventure. I'm part of the journey. It's not just, like another SaaS company where I don't see the founders, I don't see who they are, I don't see what they are doing, etc. It's really like transparent. It's really like they started to see, like our team, how our team was growing, the team building we were organizing. We've been like fully transparent on that. And I feel like it was really amazing in terms of community creation, because it's a bit the same, like Marco Polo. Marco Polo, everyone is saying that everyone knows him because they say that he's the famous explorer that actually discovered the Silk Road. The truth is, was not an explorer, it was just a merchant, like every Venetian at that time. But the guy documented everything. And because he documented it, everyone remembers him and see him, as the crazy explorer. And that's the same thing. I feel like for everyone launching their SaaS, or like any company, they should document it. They should document the growth. They should document the step-by-step, because when you're a bootstrap company, you don't have every month or every 3 months a board where you have to go through and do like kind of post-mortem of all the things that work, all the things that didn't work. So by documenting it, you're creating your own board. It's like, okay, what have I done to reach this milestone? And then you look at what you've done, and sometimes you're like, damn, I'm a fucking idiot. Like there are things that, why did I do all these things? And sometimes you're like, oh, actually, this was smart. Maybe I should reproduce this. and level up on certain skills. And by doing this, I felt like it was helping me on a personal level to get a better vision and have more clarity, and also help our customers follow, like our journey and try to understand all the steps and the struggles we were going through also.
So, and this just to clarify, and so in terms of when we talk about documenting everything, this is not documenting like internal processes and operations, but like documenting it as in like we're creating content, we're sharing with the world, with the community, with the audience, how we've done this and written some content, created a video, podcasts or whatever, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So what I would do is write like very long articles that would be shared like thousands of times of, for example, like, I don't know, like 6 things we shouldn't have done, but that we did that made us successful to reach 6 million in ARR. And then I list them. I also list, our fails. I list the things that we should have done differently. I post on LinkedIn. I have a YouTube channel where I create videos and discuss about like topics around bootstrapping, growth, etc. So it's really about all my struggles or all the learnings that I have. I try to share them, and I link this to the company growth. So you have the story of the company, and people really love stories. And at the same time, you have the value because you face a challenge, you solve it or not, and you share it with the audience.
Awesome. And thanks for clarifying that. What about like the key decision number 4? What was that?
That's something I would call the growth circle of love.
Oh, yeah. Where are we going with this?
I'm French, so pardon me. No, but essentially, it's really about focusing, on the happiness and the satisfaction of your customers. So a lot of SaaS founders never use their SaaS. Like they build it and then they grow the team and then it becomes, I have a big vision, but they never look into it. What I did is, as day one, I was using Lemlist, doing my sales prospecting. During the sales prospecting, I would book demos with people, do discovery calls where I would ask them what are their pains, like really trying to dig into the pains, what are the struggles. From that, I would list a set of topics that people are struggling with. I would write content about it, share this content in the community, and also share it to the people I had met during these interviews. Try to find solutions, through me documenting the process of using Lemlist, and again, reaching out to more people using my own product, and then come back, to bringing more value, making people more successful. Sometimes, doing this one-on-one coaching where I would go through and try to study the pain of people and find solution for them. And by doing this, you're just focusing on this one thing, which is value and, loving your customers. And the more you love your customers and you care about them, the more they're going to talk about it. And, it's funny, I think, because a lot of people think that because you are doing things digitally, that you should forget about the common sense of building a business. Like if I take 2 restaurants near my house, there is one where the food is like delicious, but the guy, like the main kind of waiter, is really like the worst arsehole like you've ever seen, So when you go there, even if the food is delicious, you feel kind of bad because he's trash talking to the waiters, is like, there is kind of a bad vibe. On the other hand, there is this restaurant where the food is okay, good, but the guy, you went there once, you would come back and say, hey, Alex, what's up? Like, nice to see you, man. Like, it's really good. And you have this good vibe that when you enter the restaurant, it feels already great. And I feel like for SaaS, it's exactly the same. If you create this sense of community, care, and kind of like love for your users, people will talk more about it. People will come back. And then, like you just have to keep focusing on the same thing, because this is a never end. Why do I call it, like a growth circle of love? It's because it never ends. You can break it at any time. If sometimes, you become big-headed and you think like, yeah, I know better than my customers, then, it's going to break and your company will break as well. And that's why it's a circle and you need to continue do this effort. A good example I can give you is like, recently I launched like a masterclass about cold email. And to launch it, I decided to offer 100 free coaching. So I spent 50 hours with people from our community who took the masterclass to help them in their campaign. if you look around you, and I know you know like a lot of SaaS founder, do you know a lot of SaaS founder at 10 million in ARR that would spend 50 hours with their clients helping them, to build campaigns? Sometimes, it's just these little things that are, to me, kind of common sense that can really help you grow.
Awesome. And also to clarify, I don't work at that second restaurant. But I was a waiter when I was at university. But I know what you mean. Good thing. And the fifth and final key decision that's really kind of helped you get to 10 million. What was that?
I feel it's really because we did things differently. When you grow your startup, you're going to meet with a lot of people who would give you advice. For example, everyone told me you shouldn't hire a videographer as your second employee, for example. I knew I wanted to create a lot of content. I knew video was good and I know it was helpful, but everyone was telling me not to do it because it's not smart. Hire a developer, hire a data scientist. In the end, it's your company, and it's exactly the same. People were telling me when we crossed 1 million in ARR, now you need to really hire highly skilled people, people who've done it in the past, people who have a track record. The truth is, I'm a fucking chemical engineer initially, it's like I learned everything. Like 3.5 years ago, I didn't know anything about SaaS. I just learned. So sometimes, it's important to me, people don't lack of experience or don't lack of data or don't lack of all these things. They lack of guts. Sometimes it's important to just follow your gut. For me, I knew that I had learned all these things. I knew I could teach people how to do these things. So all the person I hired after 1 million in ARR were actually people who had really very few experience, even no prior experience at all in SaaS, to be honest. And all these things, it's really important as an entrepreneur to understand that it's your company. There is no status quo or things that should be done in a normal way. Do your own things, but think that if everyone is doing it, it's probably the wrong thing.
Great advice and a great way to end sort of this podcast, Guillaume, or G, I'll say, in case anybody from LinkedIn is listening. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing these 5 steps. I mean, fantastic to see that you'll soon be crossing 10 million ARR. We'll certainly look to celebrate next time SaaStock is in Paris or when we've got the conference back in Dublin. Where can people find you online? Where is the Lemlist group, the Lem family, and so on? If people want to join in inquisitive.
So Facebook, people can go on Lemlist family. So it's a big group, and then if people want to find me, they can find me on LinkedIn. So it's G and dot. And then Twitter, Guillaume Moubeche, or Instagram, Guillaume Moubeche. I also post behind the scenes and everything.
Fantastic, good stuff. And are you when you hit 10 million and when you see that on whatever platform that you're using, what are you going to do? Is it just come back in another day at work? We now need to go to 20 or 100, or is there going to be some sort of celebration or champagne popping in the office?
I hope we're going to celebrate. I don't feel we will celebrate in the office because not everyone is there, but we're doing our team building in Turkey in October. So we're bringing everyone there where we will celebrate. And after that, we want to build a unicorn in the next 4 years. It would be dope, to go from $1,000 to a $1 billion valuation. And that's kind of the goal. I'm also writing a book that will be published, I feel, by the end of the year, about how we managed to do an exit, grow the company to 10 million, etc. So it's some exciting stuff coming soon.
Amazing, good stuff. Well, thanks so much for taking out the time, speaking to the SaaStock audience on the SaaS Revolution Show. Really appreciate it. Great seeing you, and all the best and congrats again on getting to 10 million ARR.
Thanks a lot, Alex. It was lovely.
Thank you.